Okay, so we're going to start off the tabbing system tutorial with the HCPC book, and essentially what you can see here is that I'm not using any of the tabs that they supplied. So first off, I have a Medicare section here where I would put all my Medicare type of information, part A, B, C, D, that type of stuff, introductory. This is the intro section for the HCPCS, as you could see, and it matches the title. That's pretty much the theme of this tabbing system tutorial. Match the title with what's on the right side. So okay, this one's anatomy, and I've labeled it Netter because Netter is like a really popular anatomy book. Helps me remember. And then this one is like the index to the HCPCS, as you can see. It has all of the drugs and stuff, and essentially quick way to get there. And then from here on, A, B, C, so all the way through to the end, label them according to their indexes. So like if it's A, then I've labeled it A, and then if it's E, the tab is E, and so on. So like G, and then all of those are pretty much the tabs all the way up until the end there. And then this is the first one where you can see it's drugs. So labeled it drugs just in case there's a question on it. This last section is just the modifiers or mods. I've labeled that modifiers or mods. And that's pretty much it for the HCPCS book. And there's not that many questions on the test with the HCPCS, so it's a pretty simple tabbing system. Get into the CPT book, and essentially, as you can see again, not using any other tabs that are supplied with the book. So in this first page, I've put in a lot of the tips on the test, like AMA, a lot of the useful information as you're studying. I've put that on there. Yep, all around the sides and all over, so in case it's a quick way to reference back to this section if there's a question on the test. Okay, so starting from the top here, so we have place of service codes labeled POS. Then we have the table of contents labeled TOC. Contents are on the left and the tabs are always on the right. This is the intro, so it's labeled introduction. Okay, now this is all of the anatomical terms coming up. Every book has these, so it's pretty cool. You never have to memorize anything. These are all the planes of the body. And then soon enough here, you can kind of see like all the planes, labeled planes. And then we started getting into the actual codes. So these are all the A&M codes. It's strange, the book has, these are on the 99,000 series. They're up front. It's really strange. I think that the book would go in order, so that's on page 19. Okay, and these are essentially that's anesthesia guidelines. So it says anesthesia there on the side, and it sort of begins with anesthesia. So the tabs on the anesthesia is on the left. That's on page 75, and the actual thing is on the 74 page. Okay, so surgery, it's a pretty large section. So it's labeled SX on the side there, and then we have essentially like all of that's surgery related. It's a pretty thick section. So up top we have the tabs like like surgery for musculoskeletal system would say MUSC or MUS in this case. And then we have the tabs for the respiratory system labeled respiratory. Same thing for all the other systems in the body. It's going through 237, it's got the tab for that associated section. And then pretty much the same system, just like we've been seeing. Like a lymph node, you would label the tab lymph. Like for example, the urinary system, that would be the urinary tab, or uro. Male genital system would be just male. Female genital system, just female. And then on that page, that's the nervous system, so you would see nerve on that particular tab. And that's like the ear, so like auditory system, you put ear or auditory, either one, you can fit it on the tab. And these are the radiology ones, so you'll see, since we're switching sections, you'll see the tabs on the right side of the entire section. So radiology, x-ray, or you could even label it radiology, and that's not an issue. Next thing is pathology and laboratory. So you'll see something like pathology or path on those tabs. And these are the category 2, so you'll see a little category 2 on the side. Category 3, same thing, category 3 on the side. These are the modifiers, so essentially that's appendix A, so it's labeled mods. So basically vascular families, appendix L, labeled L. And then the rest of the tabs are pretty similar to the HCPCS books, where you have A through, I think it goes through V on this side. That's all I could fit there. So you go to the end there, up to V, and just kind of label them as you see them, always on the right side, so it's consistent. And then XYZ or WXYZ are on the right side there, up top, because I ran out of space at the bottom there. And that pretty much covers the CPT book. Really quickly, let's go over the tabs that were at the top again, so you can kind of get a feel for how these were labeled. So like I mentioned, we started off with place of service up top, right? That's POS. And then we had our essentially our introductory stuff. So we have that intro there, introduction. Medical terminology is on that section, so you can kind of see the tabs associated with that. It's really nice, you don't have to memorize any of them if you just know where to look. Okay, these are the body's planes, so you can kind of see the tab would be labeled planes. And then now we're kind of back to the E&M section. So now the tabs up top are section based. So we'll go over those like one by one. So like anesthesia guidelines, you would see the tab being anesthesia, kind of covering anesthesia and all of that up top. Same thing, it's a little bit repetitive, sure, but it's kind of going out the side, it would be the same thing. So this one would be like surgery, like the start of surgery, and then you put the tab there. That's musculoskeletal, so you can put the tab on that side. Same thing, cardiology, tab for cardiology. Digestive system, so that looks like PIG, but it's actually DIG. My handwriting's bad. Urinary, so that says uro. Male genital system, so that just says male. Okay, and then that's the endocrine system. So we just say kind of endo or endocrine, either one, if you can fit it on the tab. And that's surgery. You can see nervous system, so it says nerve or nervous, either one. And that's the ocular section, or the eyes, so it says eye. Ear, auditory, so it says ear. Page 503. And then finally, that's like the radiology, like we looked at earlier, but it just kind of breaks it down up top there. That pretty much covers like the whole tabbing system when it comes to the CPT book. So you can kind of see it breaks it down by each section, and the denser sections, we're not using anything that they're giving us, obviously. Okay, so now lastly we'll get into the ICD-10-CM expert book. It's kind of using the AAPC edition at the moment. We're not using any of the tabs that they give us, just because they're not very helpful. So this one, it's just slightly different. So we have all the section 1 guidelines, and the tab will say section 1 for like easy quick reference there. And then the same thing for section 2. You'll notice like the tabs are always on the right side. And then that's section 3. Okay, and then this section, the C section, sorry, we have all of the, the specific references back to each individual chapter that are in the ICD on this side. So like the chapter would be chapter 2. So you'll see that's on page G10. And then the associated tab is on the right side of that same section. And it's just kind of following the same theme we've been following. So like that's 5, section 5. And then I'm trying to look for, there's the 5th. That's chapter 5, 6. 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all on like the same page. So you can kind of see here, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, so all the tabs are on the right side there. 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, same thing. 13, 14, 15, same thing. All those chapters are just kind of on that same page. 16 is by itself. It's a little bit, 16, 17, 18 are on the same page now. And then 19 is by itself. It's a longer section. That's 20. And then finally you have your section 21. So that's all the associated chapters and each of the guidelines on ICD-10. for each one. And that's section 4 for the book. And then the next tab is for Netter, same thing, anatomy stuff, always label Netter because it's a popular book. And then, that's where we have our illustrations for anatomy. So if there's anatomy questions, instead of kind of having all of this memorized, why not just use the book to help us with the answer. You need to know where it is. And then now we're getting to the alphabetical index, so you'll see A through all the way down through Z, and it's very similar to the HCPCS and the CPT that we had looked at earlier. And then we get into the table of Neoplasms there. So you can see, even though it's on the left side there, the tabs are still on the right side, just following the convention. And now we have the drugs and chemicals, so that will be labeled drugs. And then the first instance of where we begin with the A, all we've done is labeled it A. The section's relatively straightforward and very easy to follow. We haven't labeled it A through Z. You could go ahead and label it A through Z. Okay, on this part, each of the chapters are labeled per their chapter numbers. So we have, each of the chapters 2, 3, all the way up until 21 that are labeled the way that they are. So that's 20. You can kind of see it's smudged off. These are too much. And then that's 21. It's kind of important to use the right tabs for the book. And that's the tabbing tutorial for ICD-10.